All right, guys. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hearts of Wulin in the Court of Crimson Blades. This is a Gauntlet recording of the Gauntlet RPG community. This is an online role-playing game club where people can come and play any number of story games, indie RPGs. We have a small but dedicated OSR following as well, and we publish a quarterly, kind of bi-monthly-ish zine that has a lot of great role-playing game material in there. So if you're one of the perhaps even 10 people who is a view on this video, by all means, come check us out. Gauntlet-rpg.com is the URL. We're going to be playing the role-playing game Hearts of Wulin, a game of wuxia melodrama in the vein of the games and media along the lines of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Hero, House of Flying Daggers, things along those lines. This particular game uses what is called the Courtly Wuxia rule set, which means there are some additional rules and mechanics that are there to simulate political backstabbery, one-upsmanship, cloak and dagger tactics, and to elevate the game from a game of fantasy action wuxia to a more subtle game of social manipulation and court politicking. We've already gone over our lines and veils. We talked about X-Card and open door policy and all of the various safety tools we will be using in the course of play. So with that being said, I would like to get to a quick round of player and character introductions. So what I'm going to do is ask each person in turn to introduce themselves. If you have an online handle or any kind of media that you would like to briefly promote, you are welcome to do so. And then once you have done that to your liking, present your character to everyone who you will be playing as. And I'm just going to go in character keeper order. So we will start with Jason, who is playing as Six Finger Lament.
Yeah, I'm Jason. I use he, him pronouns. I'm playing Six Finger Lament. He uses he, him also. He is a high status courtier in the imperial court. He is a tall, handsome man, well dressed. He is constantly seen with his ruan, which is an ancient Chinese guitar, and he's sort of like the court musician slash artisan. And he was in the court prior to this upheaval that's happened recently. So he was loyal to the previous emperor, but he has pledged his loyalty to the new emperor that I'm sure we'll talk about as we go along. His style is called 1000 Crickets in the Dead of Night. It's a very dodging, swirling sort of style that looks to just tire out his enemies till they're just frustrated and worn out and give up. And I think that's a good intro for him.
Sounds good to me. Thank you so much. Let's go over to, I believe the next one in order is Shane, who is playing Harmonious Ivory.
Hi, I'm Shane. I use she and her pronouns. I'm really excited about this game. My character, Harmonious Ivory, is a servant. Specifically, she is Xin Ling's servant. Unbeknownst to most in the court, she is part of a secret society that has sworn murderous revenge on Xin Ling's grandfather, Stone of the Heavens. And she has patiently bided her time all these years waiting for the perfect opportunity, and she senses that her time is almost at hand.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Josh, who is playing Gentleman Bao-Yin.
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Josh. I am playing Gentleman Bao-Yin. Gentleman Bao-Yin is a bravo. He is the gallivant, who is a traveler. Goes from town to town, celebrating, gambling, and leaving a trail of broken hearts. He's not wealthy, but he knows how to, get out of bad situations. He can sort of pass the buck onto someone else, and he has a troop of thieves that go with him from town to town, which is how he manages to actually, live. He's also an excellent calligrapher. He's a multi-talented man, and he fights the Western Inferno dance style, which is done with a glaive, and it is very ferocious. It is a very quick and it is very improvised sort of method of fighting.
Excellent. And last but not least, we have Chase, who is playing as Xin Ling.
Yes, my name is Chase, any pronoun. Xin Ling, he is from a side branch of the royal family, the Fallen Sun Crow. He's a delicate looking, gentle looking, but he's been groomed all his life to earn merits and become the next heir of the country. He is, despite his stature, has a very passionate fighting style in which he uses metal fans that are in the shape of crow feathers. And he is, he's ready to take on this court and figure out a way to get himself on that throne.
Absolutely.
Oh, quick question for
Yes.
you. My shadow, my shadow body double. We didn't pick a name for that person.
Let's go ahead and do that now then.
Well, I didn't have one in mind.
Okay. Maybe we'll come up with it whenever they appear in play.
Okay. Fair.
It occurs to me, I'm glad you mentioned your moves though, Xing Ling, because you have the heir move,
Yes.
which means that at the start of each session, if you have no influence, you gain +1 influence. It occurs to me that there's not a separate section on the character keeper to mark influence, so I would put that maybe down at the bottom of the bonds section, kind of with a couple of lines between them, just so we sort of have a running tally of that. But you get +1 influence just for being the heir to the throne.
I also, when I use influence, it's +2 instead of +1.
Yep, you get double usage for influence. So I think that we've established ahead of time that the opening scene here is going to involve, at minimum, our court musician Six Finger Lament, who is going to be observing, I think, our two lovers, or at least that's what Bao-Yin would like them to be, Harmonious Ivory and Gentleman Bao-Yin. And I think that the most appropriate way to get everybody together here is by having this occur in the context of a court meeting, so that Xin Ling can be present. Six Finger Lament, are you performing as the court musician at a formal meeting with political business to be discussed, or is this more of a casual soiree, a banquet, or a feast, or a festival?
I'm thinking it's a banquet, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm probably like a pedestal to the side, playing my guitar.
Of course. And I will say, Gentleman Bao-Yin, what is this banquet in honor of?
Yeah, I think it's in honor of I think that the Yuan dynasty has just annexed one of its neighboring kingdoms, and this is a great banquet and celebration.
So we've achieved a great, honorable, I'm sure, military victory.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, this is great for Xin Ling, who is royalty. But Xin Ling, right before this banquet began, something went horribly wrong. What was it?
I would say that maybe it was some of the high status people got caught up as spies, and so now people are on edge at the banquet about it.
I see. So we've caught some spies, and they were spying for whom exactly? Was this a rival kingdom, or maybe a group that's trying to overthrow the current regime?
I would say the ones that just got annexed at the same banquet.
Absolutely. So we've just annexed some territory, and spies of that kingdom have just been discovered in the court. That's not too good. Or is it? Harmonious Ivory. Why is this seeming mishap actually very advantageous to you?
I mean, I think that it diverts suspicion conveniently. I think that Harmonious Ivory doubts that these figures were actual spies. You know, the Wan dynasty is just organizing these kind of show trials, rounding up scapegoats, and as long as they're busy doing that, they're not investigating the real conspiracy that's moving within the court.
Absolutely. And Harmonious Ivory, you are essentially a secret agent who is looking for opportunities to take revenge on Xin Ling's grandfather, Stone of the Heavens. What is happening at this banquet that will help contribute to that goal? Is there an opportunity for an assassination here, or an opportunity to steal something, or to frame someone for for stealing something? Perhaps Gentleman Bao-Yin is a great person to frame. That's the general question. How are you going to use this to move towards revenge?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Gentleman Bao-Yin is still, you know, convenient in terms of satisfying certain physical desires, so I won't be framing him at this point. Um, I mean, I think that I am really trying to figure out, you know, I feel like Six Finger Lament has been kind of had an eye on me. I feel like he's kind of checking me out, maybe also Gentleman Bao-Yin, which is a concern to me because Gentleman Bao-Yin knows some things that I don't really want coming out. So, I mean, I think that this is a good opportunity for me to kind of like get a sense of what's up with Six Finger Lament. Maybe not exactly to advance my plans, but at least to suss this out before I make my move.
Absolutely. So I think then that in the kind of opening scene, we have this great sweeping shot of an extremely extravagant banquet hall. All manner of linens, the finest silk has been all laid out. People walking about in their finest dresses, hair done up to the nines, all manner of cosmetics, nail polish, lipstick, everyone is at their finest. I imagine that this is taking place at night. It is only a matter of time before the fireworks ceremony begins. And I think that one of the sort of guests of honor here, although granted they come from a family that is maybe not the most important, would be Xin Ling. Xin Ling, if you were there, what are you up to at the course of this banquet?
I think the main thing that I'm up to is making sure that my little brother doesn't get foolhardy and try too hard and try to keep up appearances and make connections with those in closer to the throne. So I'm looking for like the courtly, what did we call them? The sages. What were they called?
The various council of elders who
Yeah, the
select
Court of
council.
successors
Five.
based upon merit.
Yes, I'm trying to find maybe one of them and kind of gauge where they are in this banquet.
I think that makes quite a lot of sense. So I think what we could do here is have you maybe make the first roll of the game and do a quick study move to see if you're able to identify any member of the Order of Five, the Council of Elders who select the successor to the aging emperor. So of course, I'll put one more link to the dice roller there in the chat. In Hearts of Wulin, once again, you roll based upon what emotion your character is most strongly feeling at the time they make the move. And that's really up to player discretion. So, Xin Ling, what do you think works and makes sense for your study move here?
I think it would be using my water move. The awareness and kind of wisdom that was taught to me by my grandfather to help me kind of suss out a more easily won over council member.
Perfect. So there you have it. You've got a +2 to water. You get to go ahead and roll that, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, and it is it 2d6s or
2d6 +2.
okay? Can I type this? I'm not sure how this works.
Oh, you
On the
click
side.
the little d6 twice to add it to your pool, and then you can just roll that flat, or you can add the modifier.
Modify. Okay, here we go. I haven't used this site before.
No, that's okay. An 8. So on a 7 to 9 to study, you gain 1 hold, and you can spend hold 1 for 1 to ask the following, or to get the following. You can either ask a question about a situation or place, ask a question about a person, learn a person's scale. That's in reference to whether or not you can beat them in a duel, social or martial, or reveal a detail, which basically means you declare something, you insert a detail into the fiction, if that is something you'd like to do. So you have 1 hold. What would you like to do?
I think I'm gonna ask a question about the nearest council member by me, about what I see them doing in the party. Like, what is their motivations at this banquet? Like, are they suspicious because of spies? Are they just happy that we got rid? Like, I want to know what their motivation from here on out is.
Yes, you observe a member of the Council of Five, an aged old man, this really very small gnome of a person, who is wearing this very elaborate hat that towers up. He's practically as tall as he is. He has this great patterned robe about him, and he has actually crept his way up to the main banquet table, where the guest of honor, General Wan Heng, the very person who succeeded in annexing, I think, this territory, is sitting, kind of the guest of honor. And you notice that this member of the council has kind of crept over to him and has engaged him in a bit of hushed conversation. They seem to be gesturing toward you. Something's going on between the general and this council, which you know decides successors to the emperor. What do you do?
Well, if I see them gesturing to me, I'm gonna go over there and introduce myself.
And it is at that time, as you are walking over to introduce yourself, your younger brother rushes to you. Your brother Han, he grabs you by the arm and says, "Sister, sister," or no, sister, you're brother, look, it's Gentleman Bao-Yin. Gentleman Bao-Yin, what is your grand appearance to this party like? Or is it grand? Is it perhaps very subtle and he just happened to notice because he idolizes you?
Yeah, I think it actually was a decently subtle entrance. But Bao-Yin is he's a tall, sturdy man. He spends his time on the road. He has a big, wild beard, and he is in a turquoise shirt, right? So he does stand out. And I think that he greets Han. He says, you know, yeah, he just is like, Han, my boy, how are you?
Ah, Bao-Yin, it is so wonderful to see you. And he almost wants to give you a hug, you can tell, but he's instead trying to just, bow politely and offer kind of the requisite greetings. Xin Ling, you've kind of got a choice to make here. You notice that these folks over here seem to be doing some conspiratorial talk about you, and at the same time, your brother, who you care very much about, is about to get swept away by Gentleman Bao-Yin. The question that I have for you at this time is, well, you're torn in kind of 2 directions. Do you think that this rises to the level of what we call in this game inner conflict?
For sure, 100%. Because it's like, it's not betraying the loyalty one way or another to try and protect his brother, but also get information. So it's like, which one do I do?
Well, there's a move for that. If you would, please select which element you would like to roll inner conflict with. The only stipulation being that you may not roll inner conflict with your style element, which in your case is fire.
I would say I would say just rolling flat with earth, just because trying to exceed caution and focus on something else at the same time is something that makes sense in this situation. So that would just be a flat 2d6.
That's a flat 0.
Yep. Roll. How did I do better? I rolled a 9.
A 9. So you have a choice here. On a 7 to 9, you must either flee the scene or mark an element of your choice to keep yourself steady. However, well, I suppose it kind of works the same way either way. You could spend a bond here to kick that up to a 10, but in that case, you'd be marking an element anyway, so it doesn't serve you very well to do that. So I'll leave it up to you. You can either choose to mark an element or flee the scene altogether.
I would say, I don't know what market element means. Can you explain that to me?
Marking an element is the closest thing in this game that you get to taking damage. You'll notice that there are some checkboxes next to your elements on the character keeper. You select one of those elements and you check it. And as long as an element is marked, you may not roll with it. Yes, and if you fill up all 5 of your boxes, then your character is taken out of play in some way. Not necessarily killed permanently, but they're removed from the scene, they're overwhelmed, they're maxed out on damage, if that makes sense.
If I may, could I try to do the comfort support move to try to give her a +1?
I think that you absolutely could if you want to sweep in with comfort or support, yes.
I think maybe I see the turmoil going through Xin Ling's eyes, and maybe I stop my song and I come over and I say, honorable one, remember you must attend to the general. Remember your duty to the state. Your brother will be fine. Maybe I help try to ease your mind with pointing in a certain direction.
Xin Ling, do you think that rises to the level of comfort or support?
I would say support for sure, just because I feel like Xin Ling would trust him because he's so high status and loyal, and just like kind of nod thankfully and look kind of like side glances at little Han, and it's just like, I will attend to my matters, thank you, and turn on my heel towards the general and the council member.
Now we'll have to see if that actually does
Give you that +1, yeah.
give you the +1, yes. So what element would you like to roll with Six Finger Lament?
Let's see. Let's go with caution, focus, and presence. I'll do earth. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So it's a +0. Rolling. And I got a 8.
Great. So yes, on a hit, you may choose to, let's see here. Yes, you may use the move to aid someone right after they make a roll. Spend a bond that you just created with them through getting a hit on the roll to give them a +1. So functionally, you just give them the +1.
Yep. Perfect.
So that gets you up to a solid 10 on your inner conflict roll, which means you do not need to mark an element, Xin Ling. You do, however, get to mark experience because you rolled inner conflict.
Yay!
So you're up to 1. And I didn't mean to interrupt. Xin Ling, what do you do from there?
After like turning on my heel and swishing my flowy fabrics, I'm going to walk over to the councilman in general, as they're whispering amongst themselves, and just politely bow and say, "Hello, I've noticed that you had gestured towards me, Your Majesty," and just like very politely just step into their conversation.
Excellent. And I think at that point, we will pan the camera back over to Gentleman Bao-Yin and Han. Han is out here singing your praises, Bao-Yin. My goodness, it's so good to see you. I haven't heard from you in, my goodness, it must have been months. What have you been up to all this time? And he's asking to hear all the stories of your travels. Your reputation precedes you. And really at this point, you've got kind of a groupie who's following you about. How do you handle this person, Gentleman Bao-Yin?
Ooh. I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Well, you've got this person here who is singing your praises and drawing quite a lot of attention to you.
Yeah.
How do you tend to respond whenever you have someone like this who's a big fan of you or yours?
I think that Bao-Yin is going to. I think that he knows that there are possibly people in this town who would not, who know him and who don't like him. So he's going to try to get Han to quiet down a little bit by giving him a drink and sort of taking him into a corner out of the center of this room where, everyone can see him.
Mm.
And I think that this is probably water. I'm,
Okay.
being aware of what's around me.
So is the move that we're talking about here perhaps hearts and minds?
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
I think that would make sense.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. We can go ahead and roll water for hearts and minds. And you're trying to pressure him to basically back off and slink away to go do something else, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, or at least to be a little bit more quiet, right?
That sounds reasonable to me, sure.
And that is an 8.
Very well. So on a 7 to 9, they may either do what you wish or instead choose from a list of different things that they can do. I think that in this case, they will overreact, and that means that you get to write a bond in with Han. So if you don't have a bond with Han already, you can write one in and put the little 1 next to it. That is one more bond that you can spend. The downside, of course, is that they kind of overdo it. They say, "Oh yes, of course, and what would you like? I'll bring you too." And they're basically about to go and bring the entire bar over to you, so that you can select from your choice of drinks. But it is at that moment, Gentleman Bao-Yin, as all of the, I think, commotion is beginning to build and more people are beginning to kind of notice, my God, who is this person fawning over this gallivanting interloper? I think that from across the room, you make fleeting eye contact with Harmonious Ivory. Harmonious Ivory, describe what you're up to as the camera pans over to your undoubtedly beautiful and elegant character.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think that first of all, I may need to roll in a conflict as I saw Six Finger Lament trying to comfort Xin Ling. I do not like to see other higher ranking members of the court acting so solicitous towards my, secret beloved. So yeah, I think I feel like a welling up of jealousy and a tension between that jealousy and my obligations.
Oh boy,
So
what you gonna roll with?
I mean, I'm not sure. I think that I want to roll with fire for like passion and like this burst of jealousy, but that is my worst stat, worst element. But I'm just gonna go ahead and do it anyway, I think.
You get experience if you miss on it in addition to doing it? Like, do you get 2 experience if you miss it?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
One
Okay.
for rolling, 1 for failing.
All right. I'll remember that.
All right. Well, let's see how this goes. It's a 7.
All right, barely got there.
Yeah.
So on a 7, you either flee the scene or must mark an element to stay steady.
Well, I'm not going to flee, so I guess I'm definitely marking an element. I'll just mark fire since I rolled it. So I've sort of, yeah, that makes sense. I've like composed myself a little. I got myself under control.
To a point. Once you mark an element, you might notice, and this applies to everyone, there is a bit of red text down to the right side of each element. There's nothing mechanical about it, but that red text is kind of like a guideline for how to roleplay that character when they have the element marked. So whereas the benefits of fire are creativity, speed, and passion, whenever that is marked, you become reckless, alienating, and scattered. So you've got fire marked, and how does Harmonious Ivory proceed from there?
Well, I guess in that case, if I'm more like reckless and alienating right now, I'm going to go right up to Six Finger Lament and tell him to stay away from my master.
Harmonious Ivory, so good to see you.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I cannot help but notice that you saw fit to approach my master. Did you really think that was appropriate for the court musician?
Well, we're friends, and you're you're a servant. Why are you speaking to me like this?
I speak on behalf of my master.
Well, your master doesn't mind if I talk to the heir.
The heir is my master and will thank you to keep your words to yourself henceforth.
So maybe I'm shaken by my secret love treating me this way. Maybe I have inner conflict.
I was about to say, you've got a bit of a crush on Harmonious Ivory.
Yeah,
Six Finger
yeah.
Lament. So I think
I
that,
get
that
my
might
face is
qualify.
red. Yeah. I'm gonna roll with my -1, which is metal. My self-control is shaken here. Let's see. Roll. Oh, too bad. I got a. Oh no, I didn't do the -1, so -1 is a 6.
A 6? Okay. Well, in that case, you mark 2 XP. Harmonious Ivory, you get to mark 1 XP for making that that inner conflict roll. So you kind of have an option here, Six Finger Lament. You can, I mean, I suppose if you wanted to get a hit on the inner conflict roll, you could spend a bond here, or you can just
Oh
take the
no.
6. We're just
I'll
taking
take
the
the
6.
6. I'll take the
So,
miss.
okay. So on a miss, the GM makes things much worse. I think I'm going to put a pin in that and pull that hard move when it becomes a little bit more appropriate to do so. But you do, I would also like you to go ahead and mark an element in addition to my move that I'll do to make things much worse. So you're going to mark
So
metal.
right, and then
Okay.
another one.
Nope, I think that the metal is
Just metal.
sufficient.
Okay.
Yep.
And maybe my red face, and despite my words, maybe I sort of stutter and I sort of disappear into the corners of the room. I'm shamed by my secret love treating me this way.
Naturally. So I think it is at this point then that Harmonious Ivory, you've had this conversation with Six Finger Lament. They've kind of sunk off in shame. What do you do next?
So I mean, as Six Finger Lament retreats, I want to like try and figure out what is up with him. He seemed to be acting a bit weird. Can I roll to study?
I think that's reasonable, sure. And you do have a move actually that makes studying a situation especially good for your character with a taste of cold steel.
Yeah. So let's see. I am going to roll with, I think, metal. So control, calculation, reflection. That I think is what I want to be doing.
Very well.
Oh, it's a 12.
So you get 2 hold instead of 1 on a 10 plus.
And
you get
as
some
you,
extra questions that you can ask as well.
yeah, so I get 1 extra question, I think. The extra, I'll start with the extra question if that's okay. So I was thinking specifically about Six Finger Lament, but you know, I just always have this kind of in the back of my head. Who here is looking to cause trouble?
Of course, I'm looking down at the NPC sheet that we have here. I think that you will observe, let me see here. Harmonious Ivory, who might be someone who would really like to disrupt this revenge plot if they happened to know about it.
I mean, the entirety of Xin Ling's family surely are the most motivated. Even little Han there. But I mean, really, like anyone could probably curry favor with the new dynasty by disrupting a revenge plot within the court. It's just so many candidates.
Naturally. I think then that we will say that we haven't brought in Jade Serpent yet, and I'm curious to see what happens with them. So I think that as you are sort of poking, about, kind of scanning the room, studying things, you will see Jade Serpent, the greatest and first lieutenant of General Wan. She is sort of walking about the room in this great flowing green military garb with a great and very ornate, very almost parade quality breastplates. It's almost like a parade garb that she is wandering about in, her sidearm hanging at her hip. And she is, of course, accepting congratulations and praise from all manner of people who have lined up to offer her their greatest thanks for this great military victory. But you'll notice that she will also kind of turn and make her way over to this member of the Council of Five. And he will lean in, this gnomish figure, and whisper to her, and she whispers something back. They share a knowing nod that nobody who wasn't studying them intently would have noticed. And then, of course, you see her shoot a glance over to Xin Ling as well. Does that satisfy the question?
Yeah. And I think, so let's see, on a 10 plus, I also get to hold to ask questions. So I think like the first question has to be to Six Finger Lament. Like, what was your motivation in seeking to comfort Xin Ling?
I respect Xin Ling, and I think that she or he should always, as the heir, they should always look to their duty to the state, not to their family, especially their brother.
Okay. And then I think my second question for Six Finger Lament is about, like, what would it take to get you to betray your loyalty?
My loyalty to General Wang.
Yeah.
Or General Wan, I think it is, right? If only you would love me.
Oh, really? Interesting. Well, yes, I'm very happy with those answers. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you were curious about me looking around, and maybe you realize, oh, it's because he loves me.
But not just that you love me, but that the love would be enough to have you betray your loyalties. I'm sure I can put that to work somewhere.
Bao-Yin, you notice Harmonious Ivory. I imagine the music almost kind of fades out around you as you see this person who you're in this very intimate relationship with, speaking with Six Finger Lament. Six Finger Lament kind of strolling off in a state of apparent dejection, and Harmonious Ivory seems to be, in so many words, by themselves. What do you do here?
Yeah. Bao-Yin is going to approach. He'll greet her. I think that he greets her a little bit more formally than perhaps they would if they were not at this, public event. But yeah, he will approach.
Yeah, she returns the very formal greeting.
And I think that Bao-Yin is actually just at a loss for words. I think that he makes some small talk. He's like, So, how is Chao?
Sorry, did we establish who Chao is?
That's
The
lost
tax
something.
Tax Collector Chao, who you are.
Oh, of course, my. Like, I think that
Oh,
that
that's
is
Beyonce,
a-
of course.
I think that is an excellent answer.
that was definitely my
exactly.
in-character answer. Oh yes,
Yeah.
Chao is fine, of course.
Yeah, and Bao-Yin swallows very hard, and he nods. He says, "Yes, I'm sure that Chao is fine." Uh, and I'm gonna say this is inner conflict because I'm facing Chao.
But he could be really
I'm
in a
facing the
conflict here.
threat of Chao, not Chao actually, right? And
What element?
yeah, I think that this is. I think this is metal, which I'm bad at because this is not something that Bao-Yin is good at. Where do you mark XP on this sheet?
It
Oh,
is. Yeah, there you got it. There. Yep.
I see it. Took me a minute to find. That is a 4.
Okay, so mark
So
XP again. And what you rolled with? Was it metal?
yeah.
Go ahead and mark that, and I think things are about to get much worse for you as well. But do go on. How do things play out from there?
Yeah, I think that.
Can I suggest something?
Oh, please. I would love a suggestion.
So I think that Harmonious Ivory will like sense the tension and just decide to stir the pot a little and just starts to tell you how much as a young girl she enjoyed, those old stories where two suitors fought for the love of a beautiful woman, and just sort of let that idea hang.
Yeah. And that is going straight into Bao's mind. He is not going to be able to get that out of his head.
And meanwhile, I think we will go back to Xin Ling. You have approached, I think, General One and the advisor, who is a member of the
Yes.
Council of Five. And could you repeat for me one more time? How did you insert yourself into that conversation?
I politely bowed and I say, General Wan, excuse me for interrupting. I just noticed that you were gesturing to me, and I also wanted to take this opportunity to commend you on your bravery and what you did for the country.
General One is this imposing hunk of a man. He is dressed in this. I don't even know how to describe what the armor really, looks like in the Chinese form, but it's essentially the cavalry equivalent of kind of a grade, again, military grade parade plate mail almost. He has these broad shoulder pads and this massive breastplate and various pieces that are all handcrafted and molded perfectly to fit him. His hair is up in this great ceremonial top knot, and he really looks. I mean, this is easily the most handsome person in the entire room. General One looks, nods to you, and says, "Well, of course I was gesturing to you, Xin Ling. It is my understanding that you are, at this time, the impending successor to the throne, are you not?"
I sure hope I can do my family the honor, as well as the country.
Naturally. You do a great deal to honor both your family and the empire as a whole. Your praise is well taken, thank you. And with that, he seems to be almost dismissive of you.
I then turned to the counselor and I also politely bow and it's like, I hope your health finds you well.
he kind of looks up at you, because again, he's this gnomish figure. He looks up at you with these great frog eyes. Doing wonderfully, thank you. And he does the appropriate bow to you because you are royalty after all.
I'm going to. I'm not used to the moves.
If you have something you'd like to do, you can just let me know and I can tell you what move that might fall under.
I want to essentially try to pull the counselor away from the general.
Okay.
I want to look at their counselor and say, actually, there was some things I wish to discuss with you regarding the impending ceremony of choosing the next heir.
Yes, of course. I take it you wish to do this off on the.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to bother the general take any more of his time
Of course.
during this festivity.
Come. And he will kind of sweep you away with one drippingly robed arm and kind of whisk you off to the side. What is it?
My question is, along with the rest of the council, I've noticed there's been quite a bit of whispering, and I was wondering if there's perhaps an issue that I can assist with.
I think there is. You notice that his voice catches in his throat as if he had to stop himself from saying something. I think you might have to roll hearts and minds to pressure this particular NPC into revealing more information.
Awesome. I'm going to use. I'm going to use metal because this is kind of like a control choke point of me trying to get information from this person.
Of course.
And that would be 2d6s with no multiplier. That's an 8.
All right. So on a 7 to 9, they may do what you wish or instead choose to, let's see, alienate, hesitate, overreact, or reveal. I think that they will go with hesitate, and that means that you get +1 on going against them, and this lasts until there is a major change with them in the fiction. So I think we'd better go ahead and give this member of the, is it the Circle of Five, I believe we called it?
Yeah.
I think we'd better go ahead and give them a name, and I think that we will go with perhaps just Yin, Y-I-N.
Okay.
Sounds reasonable to me. They hesitate and say, well, as a matter of fact, the Emperor has made mention that he intends to name a successor shortly with, of course, the council's guidance. But you're undoubtedly a shoo-in for the position, Xin Ling. There's nothing at all to worry about, and he's clearly lying.
Then what is the concern and the gesturing for?
Well, General, the great General Wan simply wished to know if your Majesty was present. He wanted to know if the new Empress was here before he made his speech. He wants to impress you.
Okay, that is very kind of him. I'll be sure to thank him with such a gesture later.
Naturally, he says, dabbing his sweating brow. Yes, thank you. And he quickly goes to prepare himself a cup of wine. I think it is at this point that Six Finger Lament, a number of guards will surround you. Quite suddenly, you're walking in this state of dejection, mind swimming after this inner conflict roll against Harmonious Ivory, and you find yourself surrounded by the personal guards and attendants of Jade Serpent on all sides, their shields and breastplates marked with her insignia. Six Finger Lament, the one in charge, says, General One has ordered that you distance yourself from Harmonious Ivory. We would ask that you come with us.
Captain, this is surprising. I thought we were friends. Certainly you may allow me to speak to Jade Serpent myself before you take me away.
Orders are orders.
I'm going to try to use my move Emperor and His Brother. When you work to change the course of your own faction, roll. On a hit, you can shift opinion. Does that sound appropriate?
Let's do it.
Sure. Let's see. This sounds like maybe... I would say control, but I've marked it. So maybe I'm speaking from... I'm being patient. Instead of overreacting, I'm trying to be patient, and I'll try to use my wood.
Very well.
All right. That's a 13.
Ooh, okay.
So let's see. On a 7 and 9, there's a cost. So basically, I think I succeed without a cost.
Yeah, you just shift opinion. You choose one. They either rethink a major decision, reinstate someone who has fallen out of favor, or give back something they controlled.
Yeah, so I think maybe they decide to not arrest me and go ahead and let me confront Jade Serpent or maybe the general.
And how do you convince the captain to allow you to? Okay.
I say, General, you know I am a loyal subject of the general, and I always listen to Jade Serpent. It's only fair that you allow me to speak to them. You can escort me to them rather than to the dungeons.
Dungeons. We're just going to remove you from the party just to create some distance.
I know what usually happens when Jade Serpent orders someone to be taken away. Wink, wink.
Very well. And with a bit of a grumble, they will sort of turn you around and accompany you in a very escorted sort of way up to Jade Serpent. Now, Gentleman Bao-Yin, at this point, what do you think you would be doing as you see Six Finger Lament being escorted by what seems to be an armed contingent of people? Xin Ling has kind of been speaking off in the shadows with these various magistrates and members of a council, and of course Harmonious Ivory is off looking about. What are you up to?
I think that Bao-Yin is going to exit the shindig. I think that he was sort of thrown off by his interaction with Harmonious Ivory. And I think that now he is going to go maybe, hunt down the Tax Collector Chao and have a second confrontation with him.
Absolutely. So Tax Collector Chao would be, I think that he's preparing to enter the party. He's perhaps getting ready at his residence. And so I think that within the court you have several different kind of houses stretched within the city walls. You'd have to kind of go on a stroll through the city to meet him at his residence. He's making a late appearance.
Yeah. When Bao-Yin meets Chao, I think that Bao-Yin is going to go to Chao's door and literally, knock on it and request an appearance.
Yes, I think that the door is answered by an attendant of Tax Collector Chao who looks about and steps outside, and you guys are standing there in this very cold, pleasant. Well, it's not really cold. It's this nice, pleasant summer evening, but it's lit by lamplight. And the attendant, yes, sir. I don't believe we've met.
Yeah. Bao-Yin says, "No, I don't believe we have. I have to ask you to break your betrothal."
Oh, well, this is the attendant of Tax Collector Chao.
Oh, I'm sorry. So he says to the attendant, "I'd like to see Tax Collector Chao."
And what is your business?
Well, I have to discuss with him about his upcoming marriage.
Well, Tax Collector Chao is quite busy. I don't suppose this might wait until perhaps the morning following this party.
Oh, I'm sure the Tax Collector Chao would love to hear a congratulation.
Well, if you phrase it that way, I'll see if I might be able to summon him. He is not prone to guest whenever he is. And as he turns around, an arrow pierces him through the throat. There is a spat of blood that coats the side of his house. He slumps against the door with a thud and slides down with only a thin smear of his blood remaining as he slumps to the floor. Gentleman Bao-Yin, a voice says to you from behind.
Is it Tax Collector Chao's voice?
Oh no.
That's unfortunate. Is it the father, what's his name?
This is not a voice you recognize.
Okay.
And as you
that is
turn,
the more important question.
yes, as you turn, you see a enrobed figure wearing black, placing a short bow across their back. They draw a short sword. You'd best stay away from Chao, Bao-Yin. And they are on you like a shot. This is going to have to be a duel.
Okay.
Of some kind.
Excellent.
But I think this might actually be a good place to go ahead and stop for the evening. We're almost at time, and we've got some stars and wishes to do, so I want to make sure we have time for that. So I think Six Finger Lament, I'm going to keep a pin in the things get much worse for you move, but that will come along. But as for now, I think that we will go ahead and stop the recording here and do a quick round of stars and wishes and pick up next week.
Okay.